The fat kid in our school planted both hands on the lunch table and asked me to be his girlfriend. I laughed nervously. No thank you. He clenched his fists. You didn't even think about it before saying no. And instead of leaving, he turned to my quiet best friend. What about you, little lady? Are you single and ready to mingle? She silently shook her head without making eye contact. He slammed his palm on our table and jabbed a finger at each of us. Do any of you want to go out with me? We all ignored him and went on our phones, waiting for him to go away. You're gonna regret this! He stomped away so aggressively that the floor was shaking. We were all sitting in class when the principal's voice crackled through the intercom. There has been an extremely alarming incident of fat phobia in our cafeteria today, targeting my son. Every girl involved will stay back after school for investigation. 3 rows ahead, the kid from lunch spun around to me and my friends and mouthed, "Should have said yes." My hands were trembling because I didn't know if we were actually going to get in trouble. After school, they lined us up at the front of the classroom, and the principal walked the line with his arms crossed. "Every one of you owes my son an apology." I stepped out of line. For what? Telling him no? He leaned down until we were nose to nose. "You girls should care more about personality than looks." I crossed my arms, but before I could say anything, my friend Rosa raised her hand. The only girl in that line, larger than his son. He asked out every girl at our table today, except me. So would he go out with me? She stepped forward with her arms wide open. "Because I'm down." The principal tugged at his collar. "That's different." Rosa put her hands on her hips. "How?" She turned to his son. "Well, are you down to mingle together? I've got a great personality. Or are you too fat phobic to see it?" The kid stared at the floor and said nothing. Rosa nodded like she'd finished a math problem. "Exactly. Rejecting someone isn't fat phobia. You just got told no." The principal cleared his throat and sent us all home. We were nearly out the door when he finally gave Rosa her answer. It was the same one I gave him. "No thank you." Rosa didn't even turn around, as if.
I was working at a factory, holding a piece of burning hot metal, when my boss ripped the safety gloves right off my hands. The hot metal dropped to the floor. I yelled, "Hey, I need those. I almost burnt myself." He ignored me and threw my gloves in a trash bag. "New policy. You all work without safety gloves now. Real men work with their bare hands." My palms were already burning from the heat. My coworker Joe yelled, "Boss, someone can get seriously hurt." He laughed. "Then don't be stupid." He walked down the line and snatched the gloves off every worker. We all knew this was a disaster waiting to happen. Within days, workers already had second-degree burns on their hands. Another guy had to be hospitalized after a machine took his pinky off. Joe held up his bandaged fingers. "Boss, we need the gloves. Someone's gonna lose a hand." The boss didn't even look up. "Shut up, be a man and work." But I wasn't about to lose my hand over this dumb policy. So that night, I snuck into his office, pulled a pair of gloves out of the trash bag, and hid them in my backpack. Every day after that, I'd secretly slip them on when he wasn't looking, hoping he wouldn't catch me. One afternoon, I heard the worst scream of my life. I turned around and saw Joe. His arm was caught in the metal press. Guys immediately ran over to pull him out, but the metal was burning hot and sharp as a blade. They couldn't touch it without shredding and burning their own hands, and the boss just stood there, frozen. No one had gloves to help. Joe was screaming for someone to save him. That's when I remembered the gloves in my backpack. I yanked them on and grabbed the burning hot press with both hands. It seared and sparked, but the gloves held. I pried it open and pulled Joe's arm free. Paramedics rushed in to take over, and one of them grabbed my shoulder. Another minute and he'd have lost the whole arm. "You saved it." A safety inspector showed up to investigate and got angrier by the second. "There isn't a single pair of gloves in this entire factory. Who's responsible for this?" The whole floor looked at the boss. I spoke up. "He is." He said real men work with their bare hands and banned gloves. The boss stood silent. They handcuffed him for every injury he caused. Days later, Joe came back to visit. His arm was wrapped in a brace, and he carried packs of safety gloves for everyone.